Welcome to the Middlemen. I have my jurors here, and as always, we will be discussing topical issues as they affect Nigeria this week. Join us as we navigate the middle ground where diverse interests and perspectives converge. I am joined by three excellent jurors who will be dissecting and debating every case presented today. Our juror from Rabbi, Juror Evans Ofeli, will be presenting a case titled Quadril Yusuf Alabi, a perspective on injustice and systemic failures, which addresses the failures within the Nigerian criminal justice system and the need to protect the vulnerable. Juror Emeka will be discussing family life and relationships as it concerns understanding and compromise in a case titled Families at War. Juror Innocent Adulugba will present his case titled Are Internally Displaced Persons in Nigeria Still Citizens? With demands for internally displaced persons to be treated better and their return home prioritized. And I, Juror Olajumoke James, will be asking a question that begs the desire and need for a change in Nigeria. A change that starts with every Nigerian, in my case titled, What do Nigerians want? All of these cases will be presented, dissected right after this quick break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. My case. What do Nigerians want? Tony Elumelu says we need electricity to build a $1 trillion economy. I say Nigerians have to agree on what we want as a country to progress. If it's democracy we want, while Labour Party members, governor, reps, and the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, are fighting to take back their party, we as a people will not allow a sole administrator, not elected but imposed by the president, to sit one day in Rivers State. The gentleman with the military training is not adhering to Supreme Court directives because he's not a Democrat. You ask me what the people can do. Did we fight to get democracy from military dictators like Babangida, Abacha, and co. in 1999 just so someone can remove a governor outside of the constitutional process? What do Nigerians want? A train ride from Warri to Itakpe broke down in the middle of nowhere on Wednesday, 9th of April 2025, leaving the passengers to trek for hours. I said these refurbished trains are not even 10 years yet. What happens if the passengers encounter human traffickers or terrorists? Someone scolded me saying I shouldn't politicize the matter, that trains break down all over the world. I didn't think the person had sense. Do other countries play with human lives like this? What do Nigerians want? I went to Uyo on Sunday for the Niger Delta Sports Festival. There were no potholes on their streets. Their gutters were clean. The city was peaceful. Their houses, very nice. Then I remembered that the same kind of houses in Lagos would cost 10 times more to rent. And I realized we're the ones doing ourselves. Yes, as the commercial nerve center, there's more demand for accommodation and that will drive prices up in Lagos, right? But look at the glorified slums. Gutters full of dirt, streets stinky, congested roads with huge holes. Why are we charging the highest for real estate in the world? What do Nigerians want? We accuse government officials of corruption, but everyone in their small offices want to cut corners, avoid taxes and levies, inflate invoices and double prices. Don't be that. Then we say we are one country. We can't tolerate other religions, all foreign, right? We claim our own traditional religions are devilish, so we hide to consult their gods. Some will kill for God. Others will discriminate against your ethnicity. Yet when we discuss referendum and restructuring, a few people who hold power at the center say we are one country. What do Nigerians really want? My verdict. Nigeria is going round in circles because we're not honest with one another. There's no Nigerian culture aside from corruption and jollof rice. We're different nations in one. Our ways are different. What we need is true federalism, where wealth of each region is controlled by its citizens. Decentralized policing, and to let religion be a personal matter, not brought to state functions. More importantly, each one of us has to be true to our conscience. many people stealing small money because they've not been put in positions where they are in charge of billions. We are all guilty. Change begins with us. But Nigerians are not ready for change. We just want to complain.
Yeah, I think I know what Nigerians want.
What do we want?
Those repeated questions are very important. I know what Nigerians want. What Nigerians want is that everyone practically is waiting for an opportunity to reenact the same problem that we already have. And that's when you go to ask people. I've been to places where people will say that if they find their way to the treasury,
they will empty it on the first day.
They will break the vault. They will take everything and they will make sure that they keep for their great grandchildren. So with that mentality, that selfishness and our inability to see the future and live the Nigerian dream, if anyone exists, is a main problem we have. Have you seen Nigerians during elections? Have you seen Nigerians during census? Or during, what do you call it? During crisis, where people will break shop, loot things, they don't care who is affected and the rest of that. That level of, that vile nature in us is one that must be extinguished. Otherwise, we are going nowhere.
Sure.
If you look at the issue of the train that broke down at the middle of the road, you said something about it and someone said you should not politicize it.
Exactly.
That possibly might be a supporter of the
current government.
Then if you talk further, they will say the train broke, they will say the train broke down at this place and you are Yoruba. Now, why are you talking?
What's your business?
They will bring ethnicity into it. They will bring different kind of implication into it. At the end of the day, you don't know exactly what you are saying. Then lastly, that holy grail, the Nigerian holy grail, poverty. When they get to the verge of success, the Nigerian will make a U-turn.
Because we remember our covenants.
Remembering his fellowship with poverty, they will turn around and make sure that nothing works. Before you ask a Nigerian whether he has cast his vote, before you ask him, he has sold it already. You understand? So these are the kind of things we see, and until we change our attitude and our approach towards life, it will not change. Nothing will change. You see, this thing about Nigeria will soon change. It's for the strong-hearted. It's for the very optimistic. But before it will change, a lot of changes need to happen. So many people have to go. Yes, so many people have to go. So many people have to just
live where they are.
In prison. They have to build bigger prisons. Put a lot of people there. The ones that have to leave, they have to leave. The ones that have to be tamed will be tamed before this country can find its way to grace.
Okay, I'll go from the train story. I just remembered sometime in the late 80s. On Christmas Day, my father told all of us, and it was a laugh then, that his friend was traveling to Lagos from Benue. They all decided to come by road, but he said the train was cheaper. And about 3 weeks after, he is yet to arrive.
Jesus.
Their train also broke down.
In the 80s?
Yes. And the man recounted to us later that villagers far away, somebody saw them and went to report in the village. People brought them soap, bathing water, and on Christmas Day, brought them food.
Wow.
And
there wasn't terrorism at the time.
Until respite came. So the man visited us sometime before the Easter and was talking to us, narrated the ordeal. My father had a good laugh, like, we told you to, you didn't. But if you juxtapose that with today, if it happens like he has told you, along an ethnic divide, people are cashing out already.
They just got traditional ruler that was liaising with kidnappers.
Yes.
He was collecting his own people. He was collecting kickback.
He will collect kickback from the ransom.
From the ransom paid. In Nigeria.
In his own people he administers over.
Yes.
He put them on the line and the kidnappers will get them. Then
so when they demand 10 million, maybe he will get 3 million from every 10 million.
He has a percentage on every
ransom.
It became a route for the tithes.
Yes.
Anyway, another point, like we mentioned earlier, is Uyo, fantastic city. Again, this must be said credit to the administration of Godswill Akpabio and succeeding.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me. Let's not go there. Let me tell you what the difference was.
Yeah.
It was that Uyo, Akwa Ibom itself, gets the highest revenue from federal allocation because they have crude oil.
Well, that's a different story.
Hold on. Look,
I hope I'm right. Who was there before?
He did the architecture.
Yeah.
He did the architecture.
And Akpabio took off.
Akpabio implemented.
Like, hold on. Like we are commending.
Maybe I'm coming from there now.
Yes.
Are you commending Ambode for doing what? Or Fashola?
Ambode
did his
Fashola, excuse me. Ambode only did Epe and maybe some places.
No, Ambode tried though.
I didn't say he did not try.
This beggar here.
In comparison to Fashola.
How many?
So please let me just hit my nail on it.
Can I just give you information? I asked them why their roads are like that. Is it that the people are holding the governors accountable? They say, because here you will swear by the local gods. If you don't, all this allocation that they know you are receiving, if you don't spend it, and you know it's easier to steal when you are doing projects. So there's roads to nowhere, self, you know, your roads everywhere.
No, I went to go last year.
Four lanes. The gutters are clean.
Emmanuel Odom did a lot of.
They have
plenty money now.
Very portable airport, very powerful place.
I'm saying that they have plenty money that is easier stolen when you are doing projects.
Okay, let's leave that, but I'm saying that you look at houses and you say the equivalent in Lagos is 10 times higher.
Yeah.
And Uyo people are warming up to come to Lagos, you know. So
no, the demand, you see, the law of the demand and supply it's not a respecter of region.
Yes.
You understand? So the population in Lagos is much, okay, because of the economic possibilities and opportunities.
That's where I'm headed. Can we decentralize?
So you can only decentralize if you create equal opportunities.
The same infrastructure.
Yes, infrastructure in those other states. You see, if we have the tube train, the one I use in Paris and the one I've used in Germany, if we have it in Nigeria, I'll be living in Etwa. I'll be living in my village. You see this middleman now? When I finish, I will take a train to Etwa. Yes, in 30 minutes I'm in Delta State.
So it's infrastructure.
Yes.
Why is everybody coming to Lagos? The ports are here. All the businessmen have to come and clear their goods here.
We all don't need to be here.
Okay, Emeka.
I want to say something. I was discussing. I think I was discussing. Maybe I was having some thoughts, you know, and I said, look at Lagos. You know, yes, it was 2 days ago, you know, in the office there, you know, and I was saying, look at Lagos. That the federal capital, Lagos stopped being the federal capital in 1992,
yes,
which is about 33 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened? Why hasn't any other governor been able to recreate the wonders of Lagos? What is it? I remember a book, you know, written by Donald Trump, you know, before it became many years ago, before it became maybe 20 years ago or something. I read the book. I bought the book then, you know, because, you know, he was hyped as one of the richest men in the world. So at the time, I was just buying books about those great men. And I saw somewhere, he talked about real estate, that, you know, he saw somewhere in a rundown area of New York. And then he told himself that, let me buy this place, that in 20 years' time, this place is going to turn around. And, you know, that's why he has the Trump Tower today in New York.
Yeah, I know the Trump Tower.
But he said at that time, it was a rundown area of New York, the rundown area. So what I'm talking about is, why haven't we been able to have, you know, produce politicians, you know, who can, if you permit that word, who can use that, you know, that magic, who can make, you know, make a difference, bring people, you know, make their states a destination, rise above just about doing drainages, doing roads, building schools, you know, to building environment, livable environments that people will just gravitate towards. There's really no big deal about Lagos. You know, if we have not just visionary thinkers, but if we have people who can bring the future to today. And that's the problem.
I agree with your thought. But to second your thought, To second your thought, you know,
Yeah.
Lagos was not even the first capital city of Nigeria. It was Calabar. Okay? And then that Calabar, they have not been able
yes, it was local
to make, they have not been able to even
Calabar
make, they have not been able to even make Calabar as much as Lagos. They are all sea areas.
They need to dredge the port.
Yes, they need to work on that port, okay, because the port is one of the advantages.
Continually dredging.
Yes, the port is one of the advantages that Lagos have. Every other thing you can make, airport you can make, but seaport you need to have the sea.
Yes.
For you to have that.
Yes.
Then the opportunities within that axis, the Niger Delta area is rich in all kind of agricultural produce, aquatic life,
oil,
and so many things. Yeah, oil and all. So that place should be as developed as Lagos. Then you talk about Lokoja again. Okay, where we now have the river, the river Niger and the river Benue, the confluence. That's the internal workings of our waterways.
Yes.
That
so we can dredge it to Lokoja now.
Very well.
Anyway.
No, Lady Jumie, for me, let me tell you. You see, when I talk about bringing the future today, I don't like Donald Trump as a person. But you know what? What this guy is doing is just like a low-hanging fruit. I mean, I want to wipe off America's debt. What do? I just use some, gangster tactics. If you permit that word, just
radical economic policies.
Yeah, unusual. Let me just make trouble with China. Let me make trouble with everybody. Because there is a businessman, who was talking on Facebook. He said that actually Trump should slam a 400% tariff on China. Now, China takes no prisoners when it comes to business. If you look at it at China, look at what they did to Nigeria. Look at the motor shop in Oloshogo plant. Everything was printed in their language. So, and what they are doing with African countries cannot grow that way. I've seen people praising China, and I said, you guys don't know what China is doing to us is a big ripoff. The West has even been more benevolent. So, when you look at it generally, the fact of the matter is that we don't have thinkers. We don't have.
No, we have thinkers.
Quality leadership.
Nigerians are the greatest thinkers in the world.
But thinking is not enough.
Because
implementing. Where is the place of manufacturing and agro processing?
If you want to create Lagos, in all the coastal states that have ports, right? You can. But you cannot take away the federal presence that created infrastructure that makes Lagos so economically grown.
Let us also understand that Lagos at 1961 was a crown colony, was an extension of England. So by the time
like your New York,
like the Hong Kongs, but the ancient cities that have come a long way.
Yeah.
So this ones that
like your Rome or your Dubai
my take is we should not replicate Lagos. Different places should stick with their comparative advantage.
Yes.
But be commercially and economically viable.
Yeah.
What's the comparative advantage in New York?
In
Uyo.
It's lovely in
Uyo.
pineapple growing.
Pineapple, palm fruit,
palm oil,
cassava.
No wonder they wanted to use their ban and to finish.
So
it's a lovely place. And they are not violent.
Palm processing industry running.
I didn't see any.
That's what should be replicated, not Lagos.
So this conversation cannot end here. Well, we will go on a quick break right now. When we return, Juror Madunagu will present his case titled Families at War. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Middlemen. My case, Families at War. I was going through my WhatsApp messages early on Wednesday morning when I came across a video of a man allegedly burned hand and foot, allegedly by some fellows, and dumped in his own living room. The narrator of the sordid incident said the man's wife and children allegedly hired some fellows from a certain part of the country to tie their father. Though the matter is currently with the police, I find the entire matter to be concerning. The rate at which family disputes are being settled with violent and disturbing measures has become a source of worry. you find Nigerian women kicking their husbands out of their homes abroad. These things boil down to selfishness, greed, and lack of trust. What will make a wife and her children to get their father tied in his own home? The narrator said the man received his retirement benefit and opened 3 shops for his wife. He also bought a car for himself, but later sold it. So how did things fall apart? My verdict: the family unit must not be allowed to die. The family is the basic unit of socialization. These children, I presume, are adults. What were they expecting from their father, who had retired recently? To give them the moon on a platter? Why not prejudging any of them? But the act of getting their father bound by strangers stands condemned. It's unfortunate and should not be treated lightly. Women who incite their children against their fathers should turn away from such ignoble actions. Also, fathers should do well to carry their wives and children along in decisions affecting their families. I so rule.
It is bad behavior for you to have your children, taking such kind of action. I've seen where children beat their parents. I've seen it, 2 factors. It's either they are not well raised by the same parents, or they have cultivated that outside the purview of their domestic confines. So it's not uncommon in our society, especially when some children believe that they are of the new age and they want to school all of us into oblivion, to let us know that there's a new dispensation, and that dispensation is to disrespect everyone, and not to have regard for anyone. A lot of children are like that. Just because the man has earned money more than usual. This is supposed to be a retirement benefit. Retirement benefit should be what should be applied through family planning and family cooperation, so that they can get the best out of it. Now, a man that has opened shops for the wife definitely is creating avenues to sustain family relations, to sustain family business, and to grow the family. That is for me foresight. So for the children to now,
tie up
their father, what it means is that they actually kidnap their father. Okay, they may have asked for ransom. We don't know that in the story. But it is criminal for children to do that to their parents, and this should not be condoned at all in society.
Okay, so 2 of you have said that they should not condone it, right? And I must agree that violence does not solve anything. Every dispute, every war ends up on a negotiating table. Why don't we start by negotiating first rather than resort to violence, right? But again, aside from our African culture, some parents need to be beaten well. Because you were born before me does not mean that you are the authority on everything.
No. I think parents should be corrected when they go astray. Not
they need to be beaten.
No, you are encouraging. This show does not encourage violence.
Okay, beaten by government. Some people by government, Abi.
Some people are watching us, so we will not say
by government.
Culturally.
No, like they can be reprimanded and they can be.
Mouth.
Yes,
I say some people need to be flogged. We have traditional ways of beating people into correcting their brains.
When we start to beat our parents, that means we have lost it too.
I was listening to that pastor for me.
Whichever way.
Mommy that speaks to women.
Yes,
she says, however parents are, children should love them. Yes, that's what she says. However parents
She's correct.
Children should love them.
Does it go the other way?
It's not a tit for tat thing. Somebody
not an eye for an eye.
So you love them. You hold on. You culturally and respectfully find how to coexist peacefully.
Excuse me.
With the parents.
Why?
Why not?
No, why not? You see, you have insight. You are better off in terms of information. So you should be able to manage the circumstances as against
just manage them.
No, yeah.
Are parents supposed to also love their children regardless of what the children? Because the children didn't ask.
Yes.
No, it's not true.
They should.
They always do.
I saw a video last week of a woman complaining about her neighbor who constantly beats the child. Maybe the neighbor is taking out the frustration of what's happening in the economy on the child, or they were raised like that and believe that if a child wants something and is crying, you must beat them. You know. Anyway, I think that family, leadership, relationship are things that we learn by fiat over here. We learn by practicing. It is trial by error. How many parents actually go to school of parenting? How many parents? A lot of parents will say this was how I was raised.
Even in the school of
and I did not die.
Even in the school of parenting, the teachers there are wrong. So, life does not have formula.
So there's no perfect parenting
at all.
You see, the faults of children are the failings of their parents.
Correct.
Look, a lot of times
Correct.
I might be very rude, free talking, insultive, and I have seen a man is driving children of 10-year-old, 15-year-old in the car and insulting co-road users. The children already are growing to see these things as normal. In the army cantonment where I grew up, in one of them, my father was severally posted. Your father in Hausa means Ubanka. Your father. And my parent had sent me to pass a message to a couple. The man was sitting with his wife, and the son came out of the house with just licking his plate. I'm sure the brother chased him out. I know that. And the father was telling him, get inside. And the mother was telling the boy, she was sitting beside the boy, and telling the boy, Ubanka. That is.
And the father was
your
there.
father, yes. There are various languages in Nigeria. I don't want to go far.
Yeah.
A sibling will tell the fellow sibling, yeah, and the mother is there.
Yeah,
You know, so some
just
of
like
these things start
your
becoming
thought
normal.
resonated with this movie I saw the other time, Gladiator, where Maximus happens to be the general of the army.
You are right. I was quoting from there.
Yes, Marcus Aurelius, who had led Rome for 14 years without war, wanted to hand over to the general, not his son, Commodus. Okay, so when the son discovered the plot, the son went to him and was crying. You understand? And even the general went to him and told him, why would you want to hand over to me as a general? Why you have a son that is capable? He now told Maximus that my son is not a moral man.
Ewo.
I held Rome for 14 years without war. It has never happened before. Okay. Then he now said that he looked at his son and he said, your fault as a child is my failure as a father.
Yes.
You understand? So that means the responsibility of a child must be held properly, must be held in ways that you're able to represent what you should be as a child. Then your father should be able to discharge his own responsibility also as a father. But when you have failed as a child, your failure as a child can also result to the failure of a father because he's disappointed and he doesn't want to keep Rome in a diatribe.
We do not know the story of this father, right? But the family has gone rogue on him. Either it's his own failure of not raising the children well, or the greed of his wife, who he just opened 3 shops for, or whatever it is that went wrong in this family. I'm just saying that there are many dysfunctional families across the world, right? We won't make it seem like it's only Nigeria, but we are doing the much that we know. A lot of us are parenting by trial and error the way we were raised. We were flogged. Is that the right way to raise a child?
The first error, I'll tell you, I might not be universally accurate. Parents, let me say my parents, never argued with their parents excessively. Then I couldn't now argue with my father much. And I have a child of 10, 14. I say, bring me water. The child is telling me, must I bring you water every day? Yes. And it was unthinkable of me
An internet child
to try that with my father. Now the child is telling me, and I'm condoning, I'm saying, is this how they are? So in the dosage of condoning, the lapses shift. And then the child finds himself in a space of a vast latitude of expression.
Do you know
a wife, a mother can mislead, let me say a mother can mislead me to join in roguing my father, and I can refuse. Because I've been in the maximum, I've been sired. There's a word in English called SIRE. To breathe, to win a human being. I've been well raised. I won't join my mother or anybody in such a primitive conspiracy.
So JUROR Evans mentioned something that in parenting, even the teachers in the school of parenting themselves may not even be right.
Yeah.
Because we have been raised to think that what the new generation are saying is unthinkable. We couldn't do it to our parents, they couldn't do it to theirs, right? We think it's unthinkable. But imagine people who were raised in societies where they could tell their parents to shut up. If their own children now say,
There's no
you are
such
crazy.
society. Whoever is doing that is doing that within the space of anomalies.
So there's no such society.
Okay.
I
will not argue.
It's an imaginary
Yes,
society.
where it is condoned, then that family is already on the derail. Yes.
And such society is already condemned.
Yes, Jackie Chan said he regrets raising his child in the US. Just like the movie Gladiator. This one man is a real life. He said his son is not his heir. That the toil and risk he took to get wealthy, his son does not do. And that he has locked his child and flogged him thoroughly. Just that the American law will say that is abuse. That he wished he stayed back and raised that boy and taught him the sense, the Chinese way.
A lot of us have been abused and we think it's normal. That's my final word.
That's another line. But you
That's
see,
true.
what is good across generations is permanent.
That's true. A lot of us have been abused.
Okay, that's it. It's so far so good. When we return, the JUROR from Rabbi will be addressing systemic failures in Nigeria's justice sector. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying tuned. My case, Quadril Yusuf Alabi, a perspective on injustice and systemic failures. The narrative surrounding Quadril Yusuf Alabi paints a troubling picture of the intersection of youth poverty and Nigerians' troubled criminal justice system. The case raises significant concern about the wrongful detention, abuse of power, and lack of proper legal representation, especially given that Alabi is a minor. His situation underscores a broader societal issue that demands urgent attention both legally and ethically. Alabi's journey into the criminal justice system began with his abduction by local area boys, a term that's often described gangs that assert control over certain neighborhoods through intimidation and extortion. The motive behind his abduction seemed rooted in the personal grievances tied to an incident involving the convoy of the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. This unwanted attention resulting from his chance encountered with a political figure cumulated into threats from local gangs who expected to share of any perceived windfall. Following his abduction, Alabi was wrongfully portrayed as a perpetrator of crime rather than a victim of local gang dynamics. His detention at Paco police station was marked by an unfounded accusation leveled against him that he conspired with strangers to commit armed robbery. Investigating the legitimacy of this charge reveals a measure of injustice fueled by local power dynamics. Alabi has appeared in court on 3 separate occasions, each time facing accusation alongside adults he does not even know. The legal framework appears to have failed him, as he was remanded to a custodial center without any indication of substantive evidence to support the robbery charge. Given the alleged value of the stolen item, 570,000 naira, one must scrutinize whether this represents an appropriate legal response, especially considering the lack of evidence connecting Alabi to the crime. One of the most critical aspects of Alabi's case is that he is less than 18 years old. As a minor, he is entitled to special protection under Nigerian and international law. The Child Rights Act of 2003 mandates that the fundamental right of children be prioritized, which include access to legal representation, protection from arbitrary detention, and the right to a fair trial. Instead, Alabi's situation represents a stark violation of these provisions. There is no mention of proper legal representation for Alabi during his detention and court appearances. This absence is a glaring infringement on his right. Legal assistance is crucial in ensuring that the accused individual understand the charges against them and can formulate a defense. The lack of representation not only hamper Alabi's chances for a fair trial, but also perpetuate a systemic failure within the justice system. The behavior of the police in the Alabi's case deserves scrutiny. The practice of arresting individuals based on the whims of local gang raises serious questions about police integrity and accountability. Instead of protecting citizens, law enforcement seems to be complicit in exacerbating the very violence and injustice they are meant to combat. Alabi's story exemplifies the deeper systemic problem plaguing Nigeria's criminal justice system. Issues such as corruption, lack of funding, inadequate training of law enforcement, and societal disenfranchisement results in a justice system that often fails the most vulnerable youth and marginalized communities. The presumption of innocence is frequently overlooked, leading to an escalating cycle of abuse and wrongful detention. Immediate action is needed to provide Alabi with a competent legal representation and support, engaging legal aid. Organizations and human rights defenders can create a pathway for representation that ensures his rights are protected. Raising awareness about Alabi's situation and similar cases is essential. Advocacy campaigns can mobilize public opinion to put pressure on the authority to take action against the ongoing injustice faced by young individuals caught in the web of local gang conflict and inadequate legal protection. Comprehensive reform to address the weakness in Nigerian criminal justice system must be prioritized. This includes enhancing the training and accountability of law enforcement officers, improving access to legal representation for minors, and creating mechanisms to protect citizens from the arbitrary abuse of power by local gangs. Establishing support system for minors in conflict with the law, focusing on rehabilitation instead of punishment, should be a priority. Educational and psychological support can aid in their reintegration into society, minimizing recidivism and fostering hope for a better future. My verdict: the case of Quadril Yusuf Alabi is emblematic of the larger systemic failure within Nigerian criminal justice system and their need to protect vulnerable population. Now is the time for stakeholders, lawyers, activists, and policymakers to come together to advocate for Alabi and for reforms that ensure justice, dignity, and protection of all citizens, especially children. Alabi's pains and predicament must not be overlooked. They demand our attention, compassion, and actions. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Well, I want to say something. There is this case of, in law, what do you call them? Government lawyers.
Yeah, legal aid.
Legal aid. Is that absent totally in Nigeria?
It's not absent.
If young,
It's not absent
lawyer
in
has taken
Nigeria.
up the case because Peter Obi, this matter was brought to public purview within the week, and Peter Obi, took up the case, called Zinebi Efyong, a lawyer who does a lot of pro bono legal representation for people like this, And I think the matter went to court within the week again, and Zinebi was there. He brought up all the current issues how Alabi had been to court 3 times without representation and all of that. But now there's legal representation because people found out, you know, about what happened to the young man. And it's unfortunate because after he stopped Peter Obi's convoy in 2023, he became an internet wonder, became popular. He took pictures with Peter Obi thereafter, you know, and I heard that quite a number of people sent him money. And the local, you know, area boys wanted to be sorted. And he didn't, I mean, all of them were living in poverty, right? And he didn't think he owed them anything. So one day, he was coming from work. Now, I do not know the level of education that he has. A 16-year-old ordinarily should be in school, right? Child Protection Act makes it mandatory for every child to be in school. Well, primary education. So maybe he had primary education and is doing some handwork. Anyway, on this particular day, these area boys now abducted him, took him to the police station close to his house. I don't know, remember the name, and accused him of armed robbery. And he was, you know, carried along with a few other people that he doesn't even know at all. You know, so this is just rewarding him a goal, you know, for getting popular through Peter Obi and receiving some reward.
And consuming it selfishly.
By himself.
No, the boy doesn't even have money to start with because he became popular, he got some money, but I don't think that was enough to make him.
If it was enough, he would have left that area now.
To make him that rich to the point where they're now asking him to come and sort that if he does not,
all the area boys.
You know, they framed something against him, and before you know it, he was, you know,
someone said online that can Lagos or Nigeria be rid of area boys and Agbero?
No, the government in power is pro-Agbero.
Okay. They empowered them.
Yes. You see those levies they take?
They empowered them.
There is a percentage of it that goes to government.
Oh, this extortion going on?
Yes. Goes to government.
No, it's no longer extortion. No, it's been legalized. So
they have tickets now.
They've registered all of
that
them.
That makes me feel lucky. In 2007 or thereabouts, I think I was a fresh copper or corps member and was running around for my office. At the time, bikes were allowed. And that's how at this Ikeja court here around Archbishop Finding. There was a crowd my bike was riding through. And I just saw from nowhere Donald Duke among them crossing. He now waited for the bike. Do you know my impulse was to just jump
and grab him?
Yes, and hug him. I don't know if it was, well, I don't know what stopped me, but I think it was because when I passed him, I started crying. A grown boy in my 20s, like, oh, this Donald Duke that did it. So he just passed by. You know, so I was talking to the Okada man, and I told him, I should have told him, should we go back? I said, no. He said, why? I said, he has AIDS. I can even be a suicide bomb suspect.
If you grab him anyhow.
Jump and that was my intention, to just hug him and say, oh, Donald Duke, I'm happy to meet you, but I'm the one who knows
somebody will grab you.
If I'm butted a gun, I mean, it's for the governor's protection. So, but if something good comes out, so some area boys will be waiting in the wings.
Yeah. There's this one that was elevated from poverty, this fish pie boy. You know, the people who gave him money, he used to shout fish pie, fish pie. He has a very good voice. Some influencers, you know, gave him money, used him also to do skits and all that. And the area boys in the area where he lives in a shanty, they came in the night to knock at the door that they want to collect their own. That is already a big man that they want to go. The mentality in this society. So the influencers regrouped and had to take him out of the environment.
Yes, you must take them out of the environment.
Got him a car, and they said I will not be walking on the road. They will harass him. And they put him somewhere else.
What was the end of him? Because I remember Olajumoke, the bestseller.
The end of him is that, you see, people like that, they cannot sustain
God
that
bless
thing
you.
you are trying to do. Because
Olajumoke, the breadseller, if they had just opened bakery,
yes,
they turned her to a model. Then she became richer than her husband. They gave her a home. She said that the husband was jealous of her. She divorced the man, that he used to beat her. Right? I do not support domestic violence.
Earlier on, she could stand the beating. Stand up now.
Yes,
she lost her shock absorber.
So she divorced the husband, and then the rent that they had paid maybe for 4 years or something was now expiring. There were no more modeling jobs coming. She's now back to the streets. And they're asking Nigerians to help her.
Come and help her.
She doesn't have...
Like that woman that said...
So it's not sustainable if...
That woman that said that she did a BSc law too, in the church in Abuja. After she became very popular. She came out on the internet to say that Nigeria should contribute money. That,
with her BSc law.
She contribute money and give her. That this celebrity life is not easy. That people are coming to her and telling her that was the end of her. That's the statement she made. Because first, they cannot manage themselves. They cannot even listen to a manager. Everyone is consulted for them.
Exactly.
They are coming from the bottom low. They have little or no experience or knowledge to sustain fame.
So manage fame.
To manage fame and sustain it. And to manage fame and sustain, you must be getting resources in every day. Not the one they gather for you once or twice.
True.
You are coming down again.
True.
You understand? And they have elevated your lifestyle.
Except they gather the money for you to start business. Like I mentioned that they should have just created a bakery.
So Olajumoke is now better than her.
See, because once they pay the 2 years rent for you, you don't expect
that they will now come back, they continually pay rent for you,
come back
buy you. She got the endorsements, she got,
I saw the endorsements, yeah.
If she was astute, she was at a level she could have sustained herself.
It's not astute. It's not astuteness in this regard, because they created a new career path for her.
They took her away from what she already knew. To this fish pie boy, you know what they did? They took him away from what he was selling, and they now made him MC overnight to be emceeing event.
Because he has a good voice.
And they now gave him a dread.
You know that
to go and be emceeing event. Whose event is he going to be MC? For how long?
You know that when they say education is a scam, education is a scam.
I pity those who say education is a scam. I pity them.
Because you read law, right? And you eventually become an events manager. Somebody will say education is a scam because you are not using your law for anything.
But you are using it.
But you know,
you are using it to
the schooling that you went through for those 5 years, right? That has grounded you. The way you are using your law self in your contracts with all your vendors. You
are using it indirectly.
Right? Somebody who just came out from secondary school and started the same kind of business with may not succeed.
I'm an event host. And I've been doing it small before Jam. Lately, my client will call me over the phone and say, "Oh, we like your polish. Oh, we like this." So it's the what's it called? The grooming, the academic grooming that has helped me to be sensitive to my audience. And then lately, in the last 2 years, I even read, as soon as I come for an event, I'll read how best an MC can introduce. Before I just jump on and take mic and believe the eagle has landed.
And also, the walls of a university, it's not just academics that we learn. Most students are leaving home for the first time. How to relate with people. When you're going from the university to do your youth service, it's because you have become mature in your 3 years, maybe abroad, schooling abroad, or 4 years, or 5 years schooling in Nigeria. You learn negotiating skills. You learn interhuman relationship, right? You don't just jump from being a mommy's boy or a daddy's girl in secondary school and think that you can manage, fame or fortune.
I don't manage anything.
No, you can't.
So we will retire for a quick break, and when we return, JUROR Innocent will present his case titled "Are Internally Displaced Persons in Nigeria Still Citizens?" Do stay tuned.
Thanks for being there. You are still watching the Middlemen of JURORs on Enterprise TV. My case. Are internally displaced persons in Nigeria still citizens? What hopes for them? I've been wondering, Nigerian presidents, are they barred from visiting IDP camps? Will those in the camps return to their ancestral homes anytime soon? Internally displaced persons we know are usually forced to flee their homes or place of habitual residence within their own country due to conflict, violence, human rights violation, or natural disasters, but who has not crossed any internationally recognized border. We all know Nigeria is not at war yet. The number of people in IDP camps are steadily on the rise. No thanks to sustained banditry, kidnappings, ethnic cleansing, and senseless invasion of communities. According to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, an estimated 40% of IDPs live in over 309 camps and camp-like settings in Nigeria. 60% live in over 2,000 host communities across Nigeria. Some of these camps are over 15 years old. Abuja alone has 5 IDP camps in Lugbe, New Kuchingoro, Kuje, Wasa, and other places. Now, the situation is serious with the recent swelling of kidnappings and banditry. States without IDP camps now have new ones, like Plateau. There are even discussions ongoing if more IDP camps be opened in some states in southern Nigeria. And that's why I'm wondering if presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have been going there to see for themselves. Of course, we have the case of President Muhammad Buhari, former president, to have visited both Katsina and Adamawa camps in 2019. In the incident of the Maiduguri flooding last year, President Tinubu was also on record to have visited, but the plight of the IDP campers has been consistently deteriorating. And so my verdict is, when serving and former military men now fund ransom for one of their own, is the rising kidnapping and banditry racket going to swell or reduce the population in IDP camps? When can Nigeria begin to prioritize security so that all IDP camps can close for good and those in IDP camps return to their ancestral home? Gentlemen.
Yeah. The IDPs in Nigeria have been badly managed, very badly managed. Apart from the fact that the presidents and governors of states where you have the IDPs, apart from the fact that they don't visit, some send commissioners, then sometimes some ministers visit, then churches, charity organizations, and individuals alike are the ones who visit. These IDP camps, because there was a time we visited IDP camps too, my NGO did that. Across the country, they have no, in all the IDP camps, they have no toilets.
All of them?
They don't have toilets, yes. So what they do is they go far away to go defecate somewhere. Open defecation is what they practice. Then they are not well cared for. There was a time that some of them went to fetch firewood and they were kidnapped. I don't know whether you remember.
Already in IDP camps?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I think that was in Borno also.
Yes. They
went 200 women.
Yeah, they went to fetch firewood and they were kidnapped and all that, and the rest of that. So you see that they are not well cared for by the government. These are people who have been displaced due to no fault of theirs, due to crisis, okay,
and lapses in the government.
Lapses in the government, lack of security and the rest of that, and they found themselves where they are, and the government have no plan to resettle them to their ancestral home. No plan. Then they are there. They are not taking care of them there. There are no medics there, except when Red Cross come around or this immunization people do, and these people are giving birth in those IDP camps. Then there is some level of sexual immorality that is going on there.
And
okay, harassment, all kinds of this is going on there, and they are managing the situation with their own capacity. But the time will come when it will go out of hand, because the children you are giving birth to there, if you train them there and they stay too long there, they would have imbibed that same, they will not be different from their margeries and the rest of that. And society will vomit them to us in future. And they will constitute their own kind of nuisance thereafter. So I think government must invest in that area. Let us have medics. There are pregnant women there that don't have money to go for immunization and all that. They will give birth. They will give birth there. Somebody will have to take them on delivery there that have skills and native skills and all that and the rest of that. So it's not a good sight at all. Not a good sight.
3 things stand out for me. 1, I remember the case of women having to offer sexual favors.
Yes, I've read of that.
To the military personnel who were supposed to give them food. So government, the IDP camps are not supposed to be permanent structures. They are supposed to be temporary. We take you out of your locality, go and clean it up of terrorists, make it habitable and return you back to your house. So government is sending you food. There are no toilet facilities because it's supposed to just be temporary. Anyway, secondly, Governor Zulum of Borno State, I like him. He's very forward-thinking. A few years back, because the camps in Borno, they've become semi-permanent camps, he started returning people back to their homes. That's okay, we've solved the security problems here, go back. I hear that some of those people were kidnapped again. He's now crying out in 2025 that there are many local governments in Borno that have been taken over by terrorists. So the Nigerian government is ceding some parts of its territory to terrorists. Unfortunately, when that happens, the IDP camps become semi-permanent residents. When their former residents, if I used to stay in Ajan local government, and now it's taken over by terrorists, I can no longer go back there. So do I have to buy land again when where I used to stay was ancestral, and all of that? So there are many issues in terms of we seceding land to terrorists. And then thirdly, aside from, Peter Obi, who I've seen spend time at the IDP camps, our presidents do not go to those camps. Maybe governors, like I mentioned, Dr. Zulum, they're immediately concerned anyway, but we have not seen presidential presence in those camps. That they're expanding over the country is worrying. For many, many years, we used to hear IDP camps in places like Somalia and Libya, never in Nigeria. That we're unable to secure our territory is something that every president should worry about. Unfortunately, they do not care, because while terrorists are still incurring into places like Benue, like Jos, right? Currently, our president is out on working visits in France.
Vice President.
Okay, Emeka.
I think all of these things are orchestrated. When you live in a country where governance is a cover for brazen criminality, what do you expect? All of these killings and IDP camps, it's just a string. All of them are just the outcome of deliberate, acts of undermining the society. Who are those killing people in Jos? Who are those killing people in Benue? Who are those grabbing lands here and there? And then, of course, you saw the fraudulent outrage that followed, the unfortunate incident in Uromi.
Yeah.
Now the outrage has died because they've been reminded that, look, you are worse than even the guys that did that kind of that heinous act in Uromi. So now, what do we have in Nigeria? Hypocrisy, selective outrage.
Very true. Governor
Zulum now is saying that he's losing territory. Yes, we know the military has, been having a tough time in Borno State. It's a known fact. But the same military will come out quickly to say, no, everything is okay. Meanwhile, this is the same military that sometime last year or so lost 120 soldiers one day in one dangerous area, a very dangerous area in Borno State. And they've not been able to reclaim that area up till now. So what do you find? You just see rank hypocrisy, you know, and it's not taking us anywhere. It's unfortunate that these IDPs, you know, that they've now become commodities, you know, being traded by politicians, you know, for bigger votes, you know, bigger emergency votes and all of that. If
Security
not,
votes.
if their area, if the places where they come from are still occupied by terrorists, you can reintegrate them into the society one way or the other.
Give them
You
land.
can reintegrate them. There are places, if Awolowo built farm settlements, Michael Okpara built farm settlements, but go there now, those lands are being sold out, you know, to estate developers. Now, if we had those kinds of farm settlements, if they were still in existence, you can take those people, you can have farm settlements all over the country, take them, resettle them in those farm settlements. If you go to a place like Edo State, some parts of Edo State, Delta State, you have farm settlements where people really somewhere in Anambra State and all of that. So you can actually put these people in these places to continue with their subsistence farming, the earning money, while you try to clean up their areas. But where a situation where you allow this IDP syndrome to persist because you say anti-fighting security, it shows that there is something fishy going on. Zulum had wanted to close down IDP camps in Maiduguri, but what happened? Why didn't he follow through on his words? So we must
came back.
continue to ask questions. I'm happy about this topic. We must continue to ask questions because IDPs have become a big industry for looting the treasury and diverting public funds, supposedly for emergency, to the pockets of politicians. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll be wrapping up on that. It's been a wonderful time here, and we would also love to hear you express yourself and reach us back again with your feedbacks. Please do well to like, share, and engage on all our content at Enterprise TV7. Also do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Thanks to all the jurors for their time this day. Until we see you again next week, it's bye